While this Founders Day Convocation is an academic ceremony and not a religious one, we open with an invocation because whether we identify as religious or secular, we all hopefully understand the importance of being thankful. And we are thankful that you are here. So hear these words of thanks. Dear God, we are grateful for the Colgate class of 2021. Thank you for their families, teachers, guidance counselors, and friends who have helped them reach this point in their academic journey. May they continue to steward well the opportunities and privileges afforded them. Thank you for the town of Hamilton and this beautiful central New York region that has been welcoming Colgate students for almost 200 years. We are grateful to be in a community that strives to be welcoming to us all. May we be good and kind neighbors in return. Thank you for our staff, from security to food services to buildings and grounds and all other departments throughout Colgate. Thank you for their dedication and service so that these students might have the very best college experience in and outside of the classroom. May we always view and treat Colgate staff with the highest level of respect and be grateful for them. Thank you for Colgate faculty who seek to be voices of wisdom and to shine forth the light of knowledge from atop this hill. Thank you that these students have the opportunity to learn from such teaching and then go forth into the world. Thank you for our administrators who long to unite the Colgate community and seek to serve us. Under their leadership, may Colgate's future be strong and bright. Finally, I thank you that we have one another. May we recognize that each person in our life is a gift and that we have much to learn from one another. When the difficult conversations arise in the classroom or the tension builds in the dorm room, may we realize that these two are critical moments of learning for all of us in becoming people of justice, mercy, grace, kindness, and love. I close with the words from the Colgate hymn which seem as appropriate for us today as they were when they were penned. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage for the living of these days. Amen.
Good evening and welcome. Class of 2021 and transfer students, your formal new student orientation is nearly complete. In a minute, we will formally induct you into the Colgate community, your Colgate community. Before doing so, let's take a minute to thank all of the people who have worked so hard to welcome, orient, and prepare you for the start of this Colgate experience. Think back to when you first arrived on campus. Think back. And to all of the faculty, staff, student leaders, and administrators who have helped shape these last several days. All of that was literally for you. We hope you feel welcomed. Special thanks again to Drew Harris and his Center for Leadership and Student Involvement staff, Stacy Millard and the Residential Life staff, Lindsay Hadlock, our opening day coordinator, Valeria Felix, our summer orientation intern, and Deans Sarah Jones, Sarah Courtney, Marley Burgess, our faculty director of the Commons, and the entire Dean of the College staff. Thanks to our first-year seminar, or FSEM faculty, and other faculty and staff who facilitated the Colgate conversation sessions, all who returned to campus earlier than required to help with these important parts of your orientation. I would also like to thank the housekeeping, food services, and facilities staff and campus safety staff members as well for all that they've done to prepare the campus for your arrival. And finally, thanks to the CLs, Link staff, OISS core group leaders, Wilderness Adventure, trip leaders, Cove Outreach volunteers, and all of the other pre-orientation student facilitators who returned early to help ready this place for you. Please show your appreciation to these hundreds of people by joining me now with applause of thanks. On Friday, when we met here in the chapel to start your Colgate journey and my first year here as your dean, I shared the commonalities that exist between you and your classmates. I challenged you to use those commonalities and connections as portals to explore the differences that you share. I hope some of those connections are already deepening. The 790 of you, 774 first-year students and 16 transfers, have now spent more than 100 hours together. And as you begin classes tomorrow, what you will learn about yourself, about one another, and about the world will grow exponentially. I hope you're just as excited as I am about that journey. So with that, class of 2021 and transfer students, if you're able to, please stand. This convocation ceremony honors Colgate's 13 founders and their devotion to learning. It also marks the beginning of the academic year and the matriculation of the incoming class. President Casey, distinguished faculty, and my fellow administrative colleagues, with enthusiasm, I present to you Colgate University's incoming students. Please be seated. To our new students, congratulations on your induction into our community and now your community of higher education. It is now my privilege to introduce you to your and Colgate's 17th president, President Brian Casey.
Good evening. And let me join with the others in welcoming you back to this chapel where you gathered over the past few days on multiple occasions. While many of you came to this chapel during visit days in the spring of this year, you gathered as a class, the Colgate class of 2021, for the first time just last Friday. And while you've had many events here since that day, a day that, as Paul pointed out, must seem so far off, today we gather for a specific reason, for a purposeful ritual. Rituals mark occasions. They gather us in community, and they define and reaffirm what is important. Tonight's ritual is designed to gather you as students and scholars before an assembled university faculty to begin formally the academic year at Colgate University. You should know that this is an important moment for the faculty as well. Tonight, the faculty, too, recommit themselves to those values that have defined their lives. You are assembled right now before scholars for whom the life of the mind was a deep calling. People who were once just like you, starting out as undergraduates at colleges and universities around the world, and who found some singular love, a field of inquiry or an artistic expression that called and called. Tonight, therefore, we not only gather you as students, we gather in this chapel those who heeded that call. When I met you on your first day at Colgate, I indicated that the university had already given you gifts: the gift of community, the gift of high expectations, the gift of history. Tonight, the gift we celebrate is the gift of ideas. Tonight, you are given sanction to think broadly and widely. Tonight, you are given the opportunity of intellectual rigor and debate. And tonight, you are given the greatest of all gifts of a university, the license to wonder. Tonight, as full and welcome members of this academic community, know that all the books of this library are yours. Tonight, engagement with this faculty is yours. The quiet corners of history are yours. The opened lens of the laboratory is yours. The great music of the world is now set to be played, and you can listen to it. We gather tonight in medieval robes to begin the work of the Academy, and you're part of that good work, and that is why you're here tonight. To help mark this occasion, I will introduce two members of this faculty. The first is the Provost and Dean of the faculty, who you also met the other day. Tracy Hucks sat one night in this chapel just as you are about to begin her studies as a first-year student at Colgate. That journey eventually brought her from Colgate to Harvard University, Haverford College, and Davidson College. She joins you now, returned to this chapel as a member of this faculty, the James A. Story Professor of Religion and Africana and Latin American Studies and Dean of the Faculty. Please join me now in welcoming back here Professor Hucks.
Good evening. On behalf of the Provost and Dean of the Faculty Office and the close to 300 in number who comprise the tenured, endowed chair, junior tenure stream, library, athletic, visiting, and adjunct faculty represented here today, I welcome you, the class of 2021, to the campus, to the commitment, and to the community we call Colgate University. Founders Day Convocation is inclusive of a moment that celebrates the arrival of those of you seated before me, whom I've had the pleasure of addressing on Friday regarding Colgate's academics and resources. I also had the distinct honor of addressing many of your parents and family on Friday, where I informed them that for all of the vacancy and absence that they may now be experiencing in your home community, your presence has now become the abundance and richness of our Colgate community, and you enrich our community by 790-fold. However, your parents and family are not the only ones at this moment experiencing vacancy and absence. So is the very Colgate community you have entered. The Honorary Marshalls that ushered the procession in this evening were led by Helen Payne, who has served Colgate and the Dean of the Faculty Office for 44 years, and I, for one, am not ready to imagine a Colgate without her yet. And accompanying her was Nancy Selleck, wife of Professor Bruce Selleck, class of 1971, and Thomas A. Bartlett Chair and Professor of Geology, who taught at Colgate for 43 years and who departed this earth suddenly on July 31st of last month. Yet, even as we speak of vacancy and absence and loss, we stand united this evening in celebration on this occasion of Founders Day Convocation. We collectively celebrate those of you seated before us, as your arrival marks our continued future and our collective strivings. As we celebrate our dear departed colleague, Bruce Selleck, he will forever represent and mark our cherished past. And for me, the two moments of celebration converge in this evening's Founders Day welcome as I invoke what Professor Selleck called, quote, top 10 secrets to success in college. And I impart them to you on this day, which also commemorates the 50th anniversary of his first year matriculation. I share with you Professor Selleck's top 10 secrets to success in college and welcoming and celebrating your presence this evening. According to Professor Selleck, he advised students to 1, go to class rested. Get enough sleep so you don't sleep in class or nod or yawn or doze. Number 2, he said, go to class prepared. Spend 2 hours per 1 hour class time preparing for class and completing assignments. Number 3, he goes on, says go to class to engage and participate and communicate with your classmates and your professor. Number 4, he continues, get to know at least one faculty member each semester. Get to know at least one faculty member each semester. He said if you get to know 8 faculty members really well over your 4 years here, your life will be richer. Number 5, get to know at least one staff member, a custodian, an administrative assistant, a dean, campus safety officer each semester. Number 6, look ahead. Remember what is behind you, family, friends, from home, high school. But college is about what is here, now, and lies ahead over the next 4 years. Number 7, plan. He said plan work, plan fun, plan life. Number 8, reflect, revisit, revise, and measure your goals. Number 9, be active. Select, commit, engage, follow through, and find balance. And finally, my colleague leaves us with the final secret to success in college. He says, act with honesty and integrity, both socially and academically. For he concludes, the community, the Colgate community, depends on you. As you reflect on Professor Selleck's top 10 secrets to success in college, I assure you that you have a network of support here and that we, the administration, we, the faculty, staff, and the student classes of 2018, 2019, and 2020 are here with you on your intellectual journey to self-knowledge, to purposeful engagement, and to the greatest heights of leadership and productive citizen in this world. We promise to be sound exponents of your gifts and your dreams, and we will support them with compassion and with the highest of academic standards and humane expectations. Finally, you, the students in the class of 2021, and the 2,200 students you share space with on this campus are the heart of Colgate. This place beats with the pulse of your academic curiosity and the new unlimited intellectual passions of those of you seated before me. But over the course of your 4 years here, remember and recognize that the heart cannot breathe without breath. And it is those seated behind me, the faculty of Colgate, who year after year provide the intellectual, scholastic, and scholarly breath to this institution. Globally and domestically, this faculty keeps us competitive and cutting edge. They speak with many voices, but together they make one brilliant sound. And before the president returns to the podium, I want to conclude by saying to the class of 2021 that I am a proud member of the classes of 1987 and 1990 from last century. And I can say confidently this evening that you can fully entrust this faculty and the memory of those faculty who sat in those seats before them with your complete wonder and marvel in the world of ideas, with your scientific inquiry and your artistic creativity, with your queries and your questions. For I can assure you, with my word, that this faculty will be the greatest supporters, mentors, and stewards of your highest academic aspirations and intellectual ideals. Thank you, and once again, welcome to the community of Colgate.
Thank you, Dean Hux. It is now my great pleasure to introduce tonight's faculty speaker, Professor Robert Garland, the Roy D. and Margaret B. Worcester Professor of the Classics at Colgate. Professor Garland earned his bachelor's degree in classics from Manchester University in England, his master's degree in classics from McMaster University, and his PhD in ancient history from the University College London. He has taught classics at Colgate for over 25 years, during which time he also served as chair of the Classics Department and director of the Division of the Humanities. He has taught English and drama to secondary students and lectured at universities in the United Kingdom and around the world. But tonight he's been charged to address you, the Colgate class of 2021. Please join me in welcoming Professor Robert Garland.
I know this isn't about me, but I'm really going to enjoy these few minutes up here, so I hope you'll bear with me. Welcome. We've just enacted a rather odd ritual. You've stood in a circle and looked at us. We've walked around that circle and looked at you. You're dressed in smart clothes. We're dressed in fancy clothes. You've just experienced what social anthropologists call a rite of passage. That's R-I-T-E, rite of passage. Rites of passage are enacted at moments of psychosocial and biological change. You're just undergoing a major change in your social identity. We, the faculty, are also going through a minor change because it's a new and exciting academic year. But I'm also going through a major change, unlike my esteemed colleagues, because I am the convocation speaker, and I have never addressed an audience of this size before. So, I'm on the threshold of big things here tonight, just like you. You are now officially undergraduates. I am now officially the convocation speaker. And I want to thank the student who came up to me on Saturday and said she was excited at being in my Core Legacies class. You can't imagine how much that inspired me. Well, we're all together here tonight, linked together as an academic community. We'll be linked together once again, formally, as an academic community only one more time when you graduate. You know why you're here this evening. Why am I standing here? In a ceremony that was performed in 431 BCE, at the time of the commemoration of those who had given their lives in the service of their state, a statesman called Pericles addressed the Athenian people. We're told he was chosen by the people for his outstanding wisdom. I want to tell you, neither of those things apply to me here tonight. I'm just going to say something I hope that you will remember in 4 years' time. Well, I suppose I should start by giving you a bit of advice. There's no rubric for giving a convocation address, so you just make it up as you go along. So I'm going to give you 4 pieces of advice. Number 1, be critical. We, the faculty, won't deliberately mislead you, but each of us is only a partial point of view. There's no such thing as objectivity. So cling to Heisenberg's principle of uncertainty, and you won't go far wrong. We want you to be safe. We don't want you to be comfortable. We want to knock your socks off. We want to put ideas in your head. Socrates said the unexamined life isn't worth living. Unexamined beliefs also aren't worth having. So be prepared for us to get you to question everything and anything, even if it makes you uncomfortable, or rather, because it makes you uncomfortable. You'll be all the stronger, even if you are at the exact same point at the end of your questioning as you were at the beginning. I always keep dear to my heart something that a great English Republican, Oliver Cromwell, said. It's a striking phrase. I beseech you, in the bowels of Christ, think it possible you might be mistaken. Number 3, don't be afraid to speak up if you're anxious, if you're depressed, or if you're troubled. There's no disgrace or dishonor in any of that. Shakespeare, I'm sure, experienced depression. So did Beethoven. So did Winston Churchill, and so did Picasso. Number 4, accept the fact that life won't always be just to you. There'll come a time when you think you deserve an A and you get a B minus. I have a very good piece of advice to you. Deal with it. If you read the Iliad in Core Legacies, which at least 7 of you in this chapel here tonight will be doing with me this week, you'll meet Achilles. Achilles is the best of the Achaeans, and he's dissed by his commander-in-chief, just as you may be dissed by your professor. And as a result, he goes away and he sulks in his cave. And as a result of sulking in his cave, he causes the death of his best friend. If you complain about a B minus, you won't, I hope, cause the death of your best friend, but you get my general point. Life isn't just. I've just quoted from the Iliad, which is one of the books you will perhaps encounter because you've come to a liberal arts college. We, the faculty, have decided that you can't graduate from Colgate unless you read Homer and Sophocles and Plato, duh, but also unless you read Nietzsche and Darwin and Virginia Woolf. And we also require you to learn a language, and we hope you'll go abroad. And if you're a scientist, you're going to have to take subjects in the humanities. And if you're in the humanities, you're going to have to take subjects in the sciences. You didn't come here simply to prepare for a career. And if you don't know this, now is the time to learn. You came here to prepare for life. Life. I've had a hell of a life here at Colgate. I've been here, Mr. President, 31 years. You were very kind in saying it was only 25. And when a student and I have a suspicion that she's in the room now, came up to me last year and asked me, how long have you been at Colgate? And I said, 31 years. There was a long pause. And then she said, are you okay? Well, I am okay. She wanted to call the paramedics, but I'm okay. And I want to tell you, I had no idea what I was letting myself in for when I applied for a job at Colgate and came for the interview. I'm not a prayerful person, but after the interview, in mid-February, when I was being driven back to the airport in the worst blizzard I'd ever seen, in case you haven't worked this out, I'm from England. We have civilized weather in England. I prayed that I would never see this place again. And it's proved a perfect fit for 31 years. So be prepared to be surprised here. Not only did I know nothing about Colgate, I knew nothing about American higher education. So when the taxi driver drove me to Colgate for my interview, he said to me casually, "So you teach German, do you?" I thought he might be a secret member of the interviewing committee. So I said rather rashly, yes. You see, I thought Colgate was the kind of place where you teach Latin and Greek, but when the German professor is sick, you pitch in and you teach a bit of German. And when the physics professor is sick, you pitch in and you teach a bit of physics. And then you teach hockey on a Wednesday afternoon. It later emerged that the taxi driver had driven a candidate for the German position to Colgate the same day. And he had rashly assumed that I was in for the same job. Had he applied Heisenberg's principle of uncertainty, he wouldn't have made that mistake. Sitting before you are kingdoms and continents and universes and multiverses. More than, not all of them here, but 250. Each one is a treasure chest of learning and yearning, of endeavor and enterprise, of wisdom and weakness. They are rich, they are diverse, and if you let them into your universe, they will inspire you and change your life. As you have just heard, we lost one of our dearest faculty members recently, Bruce Selleck, a geologist, a former dean of the faculty, and his wife is with us this evening. He was a multiverse, and his spirit abides. He gave the Convocation speech here exactly 25 years ago. Whom the gods love, die young. As Hamlet's friend Horatio says when Hamlet is breathing his last, "Good night, sweet prince." Colgate certainly isn't the institution I first imagined. It demands excellence from its faculty in teaching and research. Our administration is no less extraordinary. It will treat you as a human being. Of course, bad things happen here. Bad things happen everywhere. But this faculty, this administration, this community will always try to do their best to safeguard you, to protect you, and to strengthen you. No one gets to teach at Colgate who is mediocre, and you're not mediocre either. And if you think you are because you have issues with self-esteem, I hope you'll meet somebody very soon who will persuade you to the contrary. I'm only here by dint of hard work, not because I'm of towering intellect. I'm dogged. Be dogged. You're here to enjoy the best years of your life, right? I sincerely hope not. I sincerely hope that your life will get better and better as you get older and older. I've never been happier than I am at this moment. And I'm all the stronger for all the wonderful people who have entered my life, some of whom have wounded me grievously. On a TED talk that I listened to recently about post-traumatic stress disorder, the message was, let's be kind to each other out there. You never know the depths of another person's suffering. Respect and value each other. Respect and value the people who work for you here, the people who clean the classrooms, empty the trash, patrol the campus, serve you lunch, work in the gym, are your administrative assistants. We are the privileged ones in this chapel here tonight, all of us here. You, because you are about to go on a roller coaster ride through human learning that will last 4 years and will meet us. We, because we have the best job in the world and will meet you. I'll let you into a closely guarded secret. We've not done a good job, my generation. We're handing you a fractured world. You're going to have to deal with overpopulation, state-sponsored terrorism, climate change, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence. The English theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking said recently that artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. But you're not going to let that happen. You're not going to let that happen because we're going to provide you with the tools to prepare you for whatever lies ahead. I once went to a lecture by a spiritual philosopher called Krishnamurti. The Vietnam War was at its height, and he was talking about peace of mind, and a woman called out from the audience, "What on earth is the point of my peace of mind when so many terrible things are happening in the world?" "You are the world," he shouted back at her. And that's what I shout at you tonight. You are the world. So whether you're religious, or you're atheist, or you're agnostic, or you're Christian, or you're Jewish, or you're Muslim, or you're Hindu, whatever you are, of course, you know this. That's why you're here. Embrace diversity. If you don't, there will not be a human race. The rite of passage that we enacted here tonight signals a moment of vulnerability. You're stepping from the known into the unknown. Rites of passage often include water and fire because passing through water and fire involves risk. Rites of passage have been performed the world over from the beginnings of human society. They help people to cross from one status to another. But the threshold that you're passing here tonight isn't just one of danger. It's one of challenge, of opportunity, and of growth. It's our job, that's to say the job of your faculty and your administration, to bring you across the threshold to a fuller consciousness of your place in the world and of the world itself. It's your job to reach out to us and to the world we're going to explore together, in all its wonder and turmoil and complexity, and as Darwin said, its majesty. I want to leave you with one image, and if you remember nothing of my speech in 4 years' time or even tomorrow morning, I hope you'll remember this image. In the 1890s, when there was no campus to speak of, the faculty and the students alike carried the stones from the quarry up on the hill to build East and West Hall. They did it together. It was a joint enterprise. And this is a joint enterprise. You inspire us, just as my student inspired me on Saturday, and we promise in return to inspire you. So we're all standing on the threshold of great things here tonight. We're in this together. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Garland. In just a moment, we will rise for the benediction, following which we will sing the alma mater. When we conclude, please remain standing while the platform party and the faculty recess. Tonight, we begin. May your sojourn in the Academy be blessed with patient teachers, encouraging classmates, and a relentless passion for knowledge. May this community be blessed with deep friendships, compassionate understanding, and the desire and strength to learn from one another. May your presence among us be a blessing for goodness, for justice, for the betterment of Colgate University and the broader world. And may it begin here with us tonight.